Hi, welcome to Chris Cook for You Too. Have I got a great recipe for you today? Okay, so let's get started with the ingredients that you're going to need. We're going to be doing beef stroganoff, but this is a simple version of it, so it doesn't take long to cook, maybe about 30 minutes to prepare all total, and you can serve it up, but I think that your family will enjoy it. First, we're going to need the noodles, and we're going to cook these noodles according to the package instructions. So you're going to cook them in a separate pot, boil them, use the package instructions. You'll be fine with that. For the beef part of the stroganoff, you're going to need brown broth, some mushrooms, butter, garlic, some chopped up onions, salt. I'm using onion and garlic seasoning. You can use it separately, or you can just use the the garlic portion of it, and you can leave the onions out or omit it altogether if you want. Worcestershire sauce, some sour cream, and you can make a little slurry to give it. This is your thickening agent. You're going to use the cornstarch. Now, I do have a little bit of heavy whipping cream. I just had a small amount in my refrigerator. You don't have to use this, but I'm going to put it in mine just to give me some extra sauce because I'm making a large pot of it. So, and this will give you extra flavor as well. So you can add some if you want, or you can just omit it because it's really not called for in this recipe. Now, I did go ahead and cut my beef into strips. This is the shank portion of the beef. You can use any beef that you like. You can really use sirloin steak if you want to. You can use ribeye if you want to. But I find that flank is the better steak to use for this particular recipe. Or if you want your meat to be more tender, use anything with a little bit of strict fats kind of running through to like a marble type fat running through, because what it actually does is it helps to tender your meat. We're not going to cook this all the way through, but I cut this into strips. This is my flank steak. I just set here because it comes in like a one portion, and I just cut it up into strips. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. I'm going to go away, get everything all seasoned up, and then I'm going to meet you at my stove. And I have here 2 tablespoons of flour, and I'm just going to lightly coat this. Of course, it's not enough flour for this steak, and I'm not trying to actually use it as flour to really coat the steak, but I just wanted to help help use it as a thickening agent, so it can give me just a little bit more of a thickness to my sauce. So I'm going to go away and get my mushrooms cut up, as well as get my steak washed and seasoned, and I will meet you at the stove. You're going to need a larger skillet, and you're going to need about 2 tablespoons of your favorite kind of oil in it. Be right back. Okay, now in this skillet, I have about 2 tablespoons of oil, maybe a little bit more, but I'm going to use all of that anyway. And what I've already done with my beef, as you can see here, I've already put the onion powder and the garlic powder along with some salt on this beef. And then you've seen I had the flour that was sitting down there. Now, that's not enough flour to coat it, but you can see just a little bit of the flour on there. That's just enough to help fry it up in this skillet. Now, what we're going to do, while I'm going to put it in here, I'm not going to put my pieces that close together, because when you put it real close together, what you get is a boil. You really don't get a fry. And I don't want this to boil. I want it to fry. Have you ever cooked your meat and then it looks like it's boiling because the juices are falling from it so fast? That's because you got it too close together in the skillet. So you don't want to do that. So I'm going to cook up all of this beef, but I'm just going to cook it enough for it to kind of fry up, have just a little bit of a crust on it. Now, that only takes about 3-4 minutes because these are smaller strips, and beef really don't take a long time to actually fry up. And I'm not trying to cook this fully done. because it's still going to get some cooking time down over in with the graze for the thickener that I'm going to put in. So I'm going to allow this to cook. This is going to take me a couple of minutes to get it all cooked. Only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. Now you see just a little bit of a stick, but that's a good thing, because that stick, I'm going to use that in order to make up my gravy with it. And see how it came out when you don't put it real close together? See, I have that more of a brown looking color to it. So I'm going to do all of this. Then I'm going to continue to cook it up till I get all of my pieces fried up. Okay, so I'm going to go away, and halfway through this, I got like about 3-4 skillets of this to fry. So halfway through this, I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. And you picking up that crust on the bottom, see it down in my skillet. Don't worry about that, because that makes the best gravy to the stroganoff that you can ever get. So let it go ahead and build up. And then when we deglaze the pan, we'll get all of that up, and we'll use that as richness for our thickening agent. Okay? So I'm going to keep on putting them in, and then I'm going to take them out. I'll bring you back when I get this done. Maybe about 20 minutes. I should have all of the meat done, and I'll bring you back. Be right back. Okay, now I'm back, and I have one more skillet full of meat after this one. But I just want you to look. See, I still have grease. It didn't bubble up like it does a lot of times when you cook. But I want you to see this. See all this down in here? Don't throw that out. Don't wash your skillet out. That's very much needed. Okay? So I'm going to fry up this last little bit. When I get it fried up, I'm going to bring you back, and I'm going to go to the next step. But I want you to see I did not overload my pan, which is what you don't want to do, because you don't want to get it simmering or smothering. What you want to do is to keep that grease. See? That's exactly what I did. So I'll show you how we're going to deglaze this pan, and then we're going to move to the next step as soon as I get back. Be right back. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, and I've taken all the meat out, and we're going to fry up our onions. Our garlic. Put some of that in here. And if you notice I'm not throwing out, you should have used a different spoon. There you go. But I didn't. And we're going to use our mushrooms. A little piece of meat in there. Let me get that out. Okay. And we're going to put down our mushrooms over in here. Let them go ahead and cook up as well. Okay, so I'm going to cook these up. And I'm going to bring you back when I get ready to add the beef broth in order to deglaze the pan. I'll bring you right back. Okay, now I've sauteed up my onion. As you can see, they're totally cooked. And my mushrooms have sauteed up some. And I did add a little piece of the butter, which was about a tablespoonful. That was really all that I needed. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to deglaze my pan, which means I'm going to pull up all that crust from the bottom. Now I'm going to add about 2 cups full of this down over in here. And I'm going to let this cook until it pulls up all of that. And see, it's dark, which is the color that I wanted. And that's coming from the pan down here. Now, this is going to pull up all of my good richness that came from the granules that was stuck at the bottom of the pan. That's going to start to pull that up. Okay? So I'm going to let this cook for a couple of minutes. And I'll bring you back when I get ready to add the other ingredients. I'll be right back. But this is pulling up. Let me see if I can show you. See how it's beginning to come up? See? And that's what you want. So I'm going to let it cook until it pulls up. See there? Until it pulls up all of that. Okay? And that's going to add that rich brown color that I need for this dish. And that's going to be the basis for me getting the color that I want really for the whole dish. But that's going to be the basis. See how it's coming up? That's going to be the color that I need this to be. Because stroganoff is that brown. So that's what you want. You want the richness that comes from all of the granules that's on the bottom of the pan, and you want that color. You want all of that. So you don't throw that out. See? See how it's coming up? Alrighty. So I'm going to let this cook a little bit more. Then I'll bring you back in a couple of minutes. Okay, now I'm back and pretty much everything is gone, see, from the bottom of my pan. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. This was my little bit of heavy cream that I had left over, and that's what I mixed my flour with. I'm sorry, my cornstarch with. I'm going to add a little bit of this broth to that. And I'm going to put the rest in here. Okay, and this is a 32-ounce container, in case you want to know. And I've already cooked my noodles. They're sitting over here on the side. But I used the package instructions so you can do the same. Now to this, I'm going to add some of this Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons full. And as usual, your ingredients will be listed at the bottom of the tutorial. So it's time to bring all of this dish together. Okay, and I got to add the sour cream at the very end of the process. So now, I'm just going to put in a little bit of my thickening agent. That was about half of it. And that was my cornstarch. And I had some heavy cream. But you don't need to use that heavy cream. You can mix it with some beef broth. And you'll be fine. Okay. Now the last thing you want to put in once you cut this off from the heat, but it's still hot, is going to be the sour cream. Reason why you want to put that sour cream in last is because you don't want it to curdle on you. Okay. So it's at this point that I'll go ahead and I'll add back my meat. Now I got my meat, my mushrooms in there, my garlic, my cut up onions. I only have a few. You can use more if you like. Now when I add the rest of the cornstarch, it's going to get super thick. Now, I want to put my noodles over in there, and I'm going to save some of my noodles just to go down on the plate. So some is going to be mixed in with the sauce, and some is going to go down on the plate. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this because I think this is going to be a little bit thick. Thicker than I would really want it. And this is going to have to cook. Water. Okay. Now you see how that's getting? Fill it up. Alrighty. Now it's looking like stroganoff. Okay. That looks good. I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit. I may add some water into this because I want more of the sauce because I got a lot of noodles or pasta sitting over here. Okay. And if you over thin it, like if you add water and then it thins it down too much for you, just add a little bit more to cornstarch. It'll be all right. Okay, I'm going to let this cook for about 2-3 minutes. And then I'm going to add in some of those noodles, as well as I'm going to add in that sour cream at that point. So I'll bring you back, show you what that looks like. Be right back. All right, now this is done. I just cut my stove off. As you can see, this is thick enough for me. It's not for you. You can always add some more cornstarch, but it's fine for me. And it's at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add. I'm going to add about a half a container. This is a 16-ounce container. So you figure I'm going to add about 8 ounces of it to this dish. And that's what gives you that stroganoff taste. Okay. So this is done. And I'm going to let the heat from that, I'm going to let that cook or warm up that sour cream enough for me to serve this dish. And you can always top it with some sour cream if that's what you choose to do. So I'm going to add in some of my noodles at this point too. Now, if you don't want, I know you know the trick, if you don't want your pasta to stick, then you just put a little oil on it and it won't. But if you fine with that, then you don't have to put the oil on it. I'm fine with it. Okay. Now that looks good. Add a little bit more. And the only reason why I don't add them all is because I can't get them all over in this pot. But there it is. So you got everything that you need for this dish. Alrighty, this is ready. I'm gonna let it sit here for a few minutes and let it just cool down. My daughter's making some cheddar bay biscuits, so when she gets through with that, then it'll be time to eat, and I'll dish you up a plate. I'll bring you back at that point and let you see the plate, and I'll say goodbye at that point. So we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I just decided not to plate. But as you can see, this really looks good. Okay? And I think that if you tried it, you will truly enjoy it. And with this tonight, along with the beef stroganoff, we're going to have these cheddar bay biscuits that my daughter prepared. And that's what I was really waiting on. So I'm not going to dish it up. Just wanted to show you what it actually looks like. Okay? So we have beef stroganoff along with cheddar bay biscuits. And as always, thank you for watching Chris Cook for You Too. Don't forget to share this video. Bye. Please follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Chris Cook for You Too. And don't forget to share this video. Bye.